I'm Redfield. I'm glad we found you.
Many of you will remember Chris Redfield from Resident Evil 7, whether you like or hate him, and you might remember, as I covered recently, he was at some building in Japan doing something business related that was apparently about gaming. Now, a lot more has come out since then, as a full interview was actually done with him, and I will be covering all of this with my own analysis and speculation as always, so I do hope you enjoy this. And apparently there is going to be a future project. This mysterious project will apparently have a trailer in September, and based on Georgie Dandy's comment here, as you can see, it does seem to be RE related, but we'll just have to wait to see for that. So let's get into the interview itself without any further delay. Now, as you can see here, the first question was, how did you get the chance to be the model of Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 7? Now, for this particular shoot there was no audition, and the selection process was based entirely from composite card picture selection. Capcom and the client would have sat down with various pictures of models and actors in Tokyo and Osaka and sought through them all until they came to the decision. I was lucky enough to be chosen and went ahead with the shoot. So this means that Capcom were basically given a bunch of cards without actually meeting the individual, and based upon that they decided to go with Georgie Dandy, something which I know a lot of people are quite unhappy about. The second question is, have you worked on games before RE7? How was it for you to perform such an important character to such a big franchise like Resident Evil? And his response is, if I can recall correctly, I had done something similar but on a small scale, so of course it's not really something important if you can't even remember properly. It was simply for some in-house use and was never released to the public. The shoot for RE7 was very interesting due to the fact that I was able to see and experience firsthand how they develop a character for certain games. However, a lot of what goes on inside is kept secret, and strict conditions are put in place to prevent any sort of content being exposed or leaked before the game is released. Moreover, I had no idea which game it was at the time, as it was all very hush-hush. I mean, I can understand Capcom's position on this, because honestly, as they say, loose lips sink ships. The best way to keep a project secret is to keep people as ill-informed about it as possible. However, I do on the other end think it's a little bit sad that they couldn't reveal, or at least have such information told to them, even if they were under NDAs. When asked if he was aware of the success of the Resident Evil series overall, he said, I had most certainly heard of the name and knew the game by the movie, but didn't really understand how big of a deal it was until I did a little bit of research. I have also been contacted on numerous occasions through Facebook and Instagram. The success of the game is a testament to the talented writers, producers, developers, and everyone involved at Capcom. When asked, have you ever played a Resident Evil title before working on Resident Evil 7, because Chris used to be a very different looking character from now compared to the older games, what do you think about that? Now, he says he's never played the game before shooting for the job. However, afterwards he did become interested in the popularity, and due to the public interest he did some personal research, watched some YouTube content and other things, and saw how different the two characters actually were. It had an interesting plot with a good spread of characters who battle it out with all guns blazing. I think the technology is forever evolving, and they were possibly looking for a more human-like character. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm 182 centimeters and 85 kilograms in real life, but I don't walk around punching boulders. Now that means he saw the RE5 boulder scene, goddammit. At least we have that, guys. Can you tell us about the photogrammetry process to capture your image? Did Capcom expect anything in particular from you, such as a change in your hair, or something like that? Now this is something I have already described in my previous videos, as I did research how photogrammetry works. Capcom isn't the only company that does this. It is starting to become quite prominent in the industry, not only in video games but also movies as well. Now his response was no changes were requested, and you actually have to wear like a hairnet type thing when shooting. I told you guys this in previous videos, and this is because the hair is not rendered very well using photogrammetry, and they have to customly add it themselves. A lot of it is done via the photogram by the developers. I was given a booklet of roughly 35 to 45 different facial expressions and asked to replicate them individually. The process is to sit on a chair in the middle of an orb type shaped contraption that has cameras attached to it, so you are surrounded 360 degrees. I would then make the expression and look into one camera in front, and the developer would click the shutter and all of the cameras at once would take the picture synchronized. Next, my face would be dotted up with certain landmarks for emotion, and I would have to act them out for the camera. The final stage was the most fun, as I was asked to put on a full kit of army clothing, utility belt, handgun, machine gun, gloves, boots, etc. and I would have to do some poses for action scenes, and I can remember how boiling hot I was when I had to put on the gas mask as well as the balaclava. This means that Capcom must have rented out some outfits, customly designed them, made them themselves, had them outsourced, or hell, maybe they just went and stole some from the goddamn US Army in Osaka port. Jokes aside guys, it's pretty interesting that they did this for the photogrammetry as well, so it's not just the character designs that were photogrammatically scanned and processed, but also the clothing as well. How are you dealing with the fans? Are they being nice to you? Have you been recognized on the streets for being the new Chris Redfield? Now he says he's never been recognized in the streets. He has been contacted via social media, and everyone has positive things to say. I don't believe that, by the way. I think people were quite shocked when the new Chris Redfield zipped down out of the helicopter to rip off his mask and state, "I'm Redfield. Glad we found you." I have had many laughs watching the YouTube clips of gamers' reactions. Priceless smiley face. So of course, he is aware of some of the reactions, whether they be positive or negative. I am sure not everything has been a blissful experience for him. I think we all know and agree, whether you like him or not, his facial representation in RE7 was very controversial. It's not his fault. He did not make the decision to be the actor, nor did he even know who he was going to be playing. It was Capcom themselves. Now the last question is the most juiciest, and it relates around the title of the video, as well as his past tweet about a future RE project possibly, and it does say, could you tell us a little bit more about your career and your current and future projects? Now he says he's been modeling and acting for about 7 to 8 years in Tokyo, Japan. He's made trips to Shanghai, Taipei, Seoul, Bangkok for contracts. I am actually working on something quite big at the moment, but can't say too much. It relates to the gaming industry, however. Teaser will be released in September, and I'm super excited to see the final project. I would like to thank all of the fans of RE7 for their questions and interest, and who knows, there may even be a time when I get to meet you face to face at an event in the future. Thank you. Now this is interesting because he says there's going to be a project unveiled in September, and also that he's involved in it. He says it's also quite big, but he can't say anything about it. We know he had a recent tweet, as I said, considering that he was at a building discussing things Resident Evil related, so whether this is strictly going to be a new Resident Evil game, I can't really say. Resident Evil 8, and I did discuss this in my previous videos, seems like it's going to be a long way away. I don't think September 11th is when we're going to hear about it, and I'm not sure Capcom would go back to using him as the actual actor for other games such as spin-offs. So are we gonna see Chris Redfield in Tekken 7 or something? I'm not entirely sure, but we'll just have to wait until September for some confirmation. At least here we have an official source this time and not just some leak, and this actually comes from the person himself. I hope you've enjoyed the video as always and you've learned a few things. If you did, please leave a like and a subscribe as always, and just have a beautiful day. Take it easy, and peace.